Hello, my name is Pastor Paula Hewlett. I'm one of the directors of Yes We Can Peacebuilders of Morro Bay, California. Yes We Can Peacebuilders is affiliated with Pachi Ibeni and Campaign Nonviolence. In celebration of International Peace Week this year, that's 2020, which comes September 21st through September 28th, Yes We Can Peacebuilders is offering a series of videos on nonviolence and ways to engage in nonviolent living. So I want to talk about allyship. Allyship in relationship to Black Lives Matter. Now, many have asked, how can we be an ally supporting people of color during this time? It's not an easy answer, as we all have different ways and different abilities. Some may join rallies, some may put signs on their lawn, others may write to lawmakers. But there are other things for us to think about, things that we need to do personally. Holiday Phillips, in her blog Outrage Isn't Allyship, dated June 18, 2020, offers several suggestions. Now, I know I'm going to do a poor job of summarizing these, so I encourage you to look her up. It's Outrage Isn't Allyship by Holiday Phillips. First, she says, expressing shock is not allyship. Instead, we need to educate ourselves on the history of racism. And we need to not just post our reactions on social media. A hashtag is definitely not enough. We need to act. Guilt will not get us or anyone anywhere. We need to process our feelings, journal, meditate, talk about it. We need to remember also not to shame others for not doing enough. Instead, we need to call out people when we see racism in action. We need to avoid blanket statements and, above all, locate our own racism. Engaging in futile debates is not allyship. Civil discussion with those with different perspectives is. And if there's no give and take, move on. And she concludes that there's plenty of work for us to do. I would also offer that as we look inside ourselves, we consider how we look at other people. To help with this, I want to share a story. It's one I have used in sermons over the years, and one I shared during a panel discussion with the Diversity Coalition of San Luis Obispo, California, on allyship and faith. Unfortunately, I do not remember the author of this story, so please forgive me if I step on anyone's toes. And for those of you who are not Christian, please bear with me, as I believe this story has something for everyone. You know, some time ago there was a monastery, and it was tucked in the hills near a small village. The monastery was an active place. The brothers shared produce and milk and cheese with the people. Their doors were always open to travelers or anyone in need. And the townspeople loved the place. They would come to the grounds on Sundays for picnics and special celebrations. But over time, the locals came by less and less. They felt less comfortable. The monastery had begun to show signs of neglect. Weeds grew in the walls, and the walls were crumbling, and the barns collapsing. And while within the crumbling of the facilities, there was much grumbling. The brothers always seemed to be so unhappy. They complained about everything: the place, the food, the routine, and each other. They were more willing to point a finger of blame at the other rather than lift a hand to help each other. And the abbot was beside himself. He prayed daily for wisdom and how best to change the ways of this community. But he was stuck. Now, every year a rabbi happened to come to stay in one of the outbuildings on the monastery grounds. He would stay for a few weeks, studying, praying, and meditating. At his wits' ends, the abbot decided to pay the rabbi a visit. The abbot explained what had been happening and expressed his sense of helplessness in the changing of what he saw as a hopeless downward spiral. The rabbi listened carefully to the abbot's lament. He then made the following suggestion: call the brothers together and tell them the Christ is coming. The Christ is coming to one of them. Buoyed by the idea, the abbot went back and called the brothers together after morning prayer and told them what he had learned. Christ is coming, he said. Christ is coming to see one of them. And the brothers were amazed, and they wondered aloud which one of them would be so blessed. As they pondered this idea, the abbot noticed a steady decline in complaints. Brother Thomas no longer complained about Brother John's laziness. Brother Abraham no longer complained that the chef overcooked all of his vegetables. As the complaints began to subside, a growing sense of respect for one another, for their gifts, and for their partnership began to take place. Along with the changes in their hearts, a change took place in the way they cared for the monastery. Walls were repaired, fences mended, gardens groomed, and extra produce was once again brought to the town center to be shared with the people. It wasn't long before the townspeople came back to the monastery for Sunday picnics, weddings, and celebrations. The brothers never learned which one of them was visited by Christ. What they did learn was that each of them saw Christ. They saw the divine in each other, as well as in themselves. So while we are learning and listening and engaging, I believe allyship will only truly happen. Positive, growing relationships can only happen when we are willing to acknowledge the divine in each other and in ourselves. Now, you may not use words such as Christ or Spirit or God. You may think in terms of connection with the earth or with the universe, or you may think of namaste or ubuntu, an acknowledgement of your humanity that is made complete when you acknowledge and respect the humanity of the other around you. Whatever you might call that special something we have in each of us, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that we acknowledge it, we embrace it, and we respect it. Thank you.